you can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Visit Angie.com. You can do this when you Angie that.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. In fact, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/podcast free. All lowercase, shopify.com/podcast free, shopify.com/podcast free.
For exclusive podcasts and more, sign up at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, he said the murders of their children were a hoax. The parents of those slain at Sandy Hook ask a court to finally hold him accountable for his lies. We'll discuss the HBO original, The Truth versus Alex Jones. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and love of my motherfucking life, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Breaking out the F-bomb in the first 49 seconds of the episode.
You wrote it in the script. I just say what you wrote, Kevin.
Oh, my goodness.
Nicely done.
Way to go, Ron Burgundy.
Way to plant it there, Kevin Flynn.
Love of my motherfucking life. Wow.
Also with us is...
If it said, go fuck yourself, San Diego, would you also read that?
I just do what my executive producer tells me to do.
I wish that were the case. Can I ask a question, though?
Sure.
Okay, so you got this big cup. Here, what is in this giant cup, this purple cup?
Well, what was the Amazon package that arrived shortly before we came down here to tape this podcast?
Hot cocoa?
Yes, my special hot cocoa.
And then you have a fan going right in your face.
Yes.
So which is it? Are you hot or are you cold?
I am both because I have menopause.
Okay.
Yeah. Both can be true.
Both
can want a hot drink for my insides, but also be sweating on my outsides. Both can be true. Right, Laura?
Have you seen how flushed my face is today? I'm like dying over here.
And she's like way younger than me. Way younger. She doesn't even she's only ramping up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably not even in the full throes of it yet. You buckle up, friend.
Oh, shit.
Buckle up.
Sorry I asked. Have some more hot chocolate.
Well, I just like the flavor. Also with us, by the way, the Starbucks hot cocoa is incredible. And I order it by the bucket load at Amazon. Also with us is private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of the Piper Green series of cozy mysteries, Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca. I am just drinking my new Lemon Perfect Hydrating Lemon Water today.
That's very nice. Mm-hmm. And you're not mixing some special custom concoction like you did during our live show on tape?
No.
Okay.
You're not adding a little Poland Spring into that?
What was that concoction that you were making? Because it looked like you were just mixing two waters together.
She was pouring water into water.
I was. Well, basically, I had plain boring water, but I didn't want it to be plain boring. So when I had enough space in my Lemon Perfect water, I would pour some plain water in so it tasted better than plain water.
Oh, got it. Got it. All right.
You know what tastes better than plain water?
What?
Everything.
Hot cocoa from Starbucks.
Yeah.
I use one package and then 30 ounces of water, and it's delicious. It's so good. And finally, our resident Doubting Thomas, author of the City Trilogy of novels, host of Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast host, the incredible, dynamic, exciting Toby Ball. Hello, Toby.
Here I am. Hi, Rebecca.
Do you know when Toby was super excited, in addition to the live show, was after the live show in the parking lot when I roped Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Toby was really into that.
That was incredible. Kevin, how did it feel to be lassoed?
All right, so we're all leaving this great event.
It was a great event.
Just the four of us. Well, 5 of us, including Deborah. And
who's Deborah? You should explain who that is. People who don't know.
That's Toby's wife.
Yes, but people don't know that. We don't talk about Deborah a lot on the show.
Well, you think they know Laura's got a lasso in her car?
Well, they're about to find out.
Well, that was kind of a surprise. Hey, throw this in the back of Laura's car, and all of a sudden, out pops the rope. everyone's like, yeah, go ahead, Laura, go ahead, try to rope Kevin. And I'm like, fuck. And so it took I think
One try.
One try.
She roped you in one try.
Yep.
She couldn't rope the metal lion because it was next to a bush.
Yeah, I got it on video too. So
She got the bush.
she got the bush. Yep.
I've been taking lessons.
You know, it's funny. You've been talking about these stupid lasso lessons, and it's like it's like one of those things that people say. By the way, I'm not calling you stupid, Laura, but it's one of those things that people say, and it's very hard to conceptualize what the hell they're talking about, and then you see it, and you're like, oh, that actually is a skill that someone would need to learn. It's sort of like that Michelle Pfeiffer video where you watch her whipping the four heads off the mannequins dressed as the Catwoman on the set of Batman.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, Toby has no idea what I'm talking about.
Never watched Batman.
So Michelle Pfeiffer played Catwoman in one of the Batman movies. And there's this famous video of her on set while they're filming, doing in one take with a whip, knocking the heads off of four mannequins, like, and the whole crew claps at the end of the shot because she did it in one take. Like, it's amazing. Obviously, she had months of whip training to do that. That's how I felt.
As one does.
Watching Laura lasso Kevin. It was incredible.
This summer, this 2024 is the year I rope a living thing, and now I've roped Kevin. So my 2024 is complete. Not the living thing I was thinking I was roping. I think I was roping a cow, but the cow can be next.
Just surprised I wasn't hogtied. That was.
I think we know what our group Halloween costume needs to be now.
What is our group Halloween costume?
You're going to be cows.
You're going to be a cow.
Oh, fuck.
Perfect.
Amazing. Have I introduced you yet, Toby? I did, right? I did. That's right.
Yeah, I think you did.
I did.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Introduce him again. Just cover
no, it's
it.
fine. No, he said it.
It's
He said
Toby
it
Ball.
because remember I said he was amazing and dynamic, and then he's just said
That's
yes.
right,
And
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I said, you know what else he was dynamic? Because he was going, give it to him.
That's right. We have it on video. All right. So Kevin, what is coming up on Monday's show? This is obviously Thursday's program.
Yeah, Monday we're going to be talking about the new series from Cover Up. New season is called Cover Up: The Anthrax Threat.
What was the cover up? That it was in an envelope?
I don't know.
What was the cover?
This is where the season is. I don't know.
All right. Well, Kevin, we actually do have something pretty serious to talk about in the podcast. Should we get to that
why don't
and
we
make
do
a
it?
pivot? Let's go ahead and do that, Kevin. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and drop that first clip now. Leading off.
Unfortunately, sometimes when evil walks in your door and you only have a short amount of time, there wasn't much that they could do.
The 2012 murders of 20 school children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary shocked the nation and shattered their grieving families. But InfoWars host Alex Jones immediately unspooled a series of conspiracy theories accusing the parents of faking their kids' deaths in an elaborate hoax.
You got parents laughing, going, watch this, and then going, method acting, going, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
For years, the families were harassed by conspiracy theorists and routinely slandered by Jones. Fed up, a group of parents sued the host for libel and asked courts in Texas and Connecticut to hold him accountable in the biggest defamation case in U.S. history.
My conclusion has always been, yeah, it's worth it to send this message, the importance of truth.
The HBO original documentary, The Truth versus Alex Jones, goes behind the scenes of the $1 billion-plus lawsuit. It also digs into the origins of Jones' unrepentant persona and his scandal-driven business model, as well as the worldview of the followers he inspired to torment the victims' loved ones. Spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about plot points from The Truth versus Alex Jones. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. Toby, what are your general thoughts about Alex Jones?
I think he's a fucking asshole.
All right. Well, let's do what we do.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about him. I hate him so much, but we're going to.
He's loathsome. And, you know, to a certain extent, this documentary feels a little bit like shooting fish in a barrel because parents of like 6-year-olds who've been murdered are extremely sympathetic. And Alex Jones is just such a freaking flaming prick all the time that it's like the easiest villain and hero situation that you can come up with. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly has no empathy for anybody. He's a liar. He's a blowhard. I don't want to give away every thought I have right off the bat. But he's just a loathsome guy. And the fact that a lot of people listen to him and pay attention to him and value his insights or whatever, when he's just clearly just full of shit all the time and is trying to sell these ridiculous freaking supplements and what was that, colloidal silver that turned that poor cult leader blue and stuff. Yeah. He's awful.
Laura, I'd like you to get a chance to weigh in on your thoughts about Alex Jones. You want to let it rip?
So Toby has already said plenty. I don't really want to give Alex Jones attention because I just think he's a despicable human. But I think the thing that really sort of fascinates me is the way that I want to just write him off as this guy is a blowhard. He's an asshole. He's just profiting, selling these stupid vitamins. But the fact that there was 1 in 5 people who didn't believe Sandy Hook happened was sort of telling to me, what is going on that this guy is connecting with people? I think most of the world looks at him and is this guy's an asshole. But then there's these 1 in 5 people who are following him around and buying into everything he says. And that was just horrifying to me and it just made me sick.
Yeah, see, I agree with you, Laura. So I think this is one of the things that actually kind of bothers me when I hear he's in a very extreme example. Okay, so he's on the very far end of the spectrum of this conversation, but I would say way more in the middle of the spectrum, is a Joe Rogan or a Gwyneth Paltrow. But Joe Rogan is very often the point of conversation of people talk about him a lot. Who listens to that fucking guy? Well, guess who listens to him? Fucking everybody listens to Joe Rogan. And by the way, Joe Rogan gets attention when stupid things happen on his show. But 90% of the time, Joe Rogan's show is fine. It's just a fucking talk show that people like listening to. It's just that Joe Rogan has this habit of doing this thing where I just ask curious questions, and he has bad actors on his show who he platforms and they say crazy shit. And then he just sits there and nods and doesn't challenge them. So there's this whole thing where smart people who don't know a lot about someone like a Joe Rogan or an Alex Jones say things like, who would believe this person? Who would listen to this person? The bottom line is Alex Jones is a fucking good broadcaster. He's a talented, good, effective broadcaster. And what he says is nuts, but he connects with people. And you got it exactly right. He's a dynamic guy. He connects with people. And there is a portion of the population that has something inside of them that they are desperate to unlock. And it's that sort of thing where people used to look quietly in both directions before they used to say certain things out loud. But today there are people like Alex Jones who've given them permission to sort of have that person be on the outside rather than on the inside. And he is a good broadcaster. So when people say why does anybody watch him? It's because he's good at his fucking job. That's why people watch him. And you can't discount someone like that and just say we shouldn't talk about him, because he actually is culturally important, even though he's fucking loathsome. I hate to say it, but it's true. He actually is significant, and that's what makes him scary. I mean, Kevin, you can't deny that, right? He's connecting with millions of fucking people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not for us. He's not for us.
Ted Bundy was also really good at his job, which is being a serial killer. So Alex Jones is doing really good at being a fearmonger and
he's good at
someone who's into disinformation and paranoid conspiracy theories. And so, yeah, he's very good at that. I don't know. I haven't really watched enough of his show to say that's entertaining. I don't understand the logic of saying that about Rush Limbaugh or somebody like that. You could disagree with the politics, but you could say as far as a radio show, he did a good radio show. People enjoyed that. This is just fucking bonkers shit. There's always that ecosphere where you have the conspiracy people or just extremists on one end or the other. I never really thought of it as a business model for him. I just thought this was his platform to spew, right? But they did a good job in this documentary drawing the line between the sensational stories, the conspiracies, the outrageous stuff, and showing that dotted line to the money that was being made those days. Laying out the idea that he had a financial motive for being this mean, for being this loathsome. It wasn't just a character flaw. It's also capitalism, right? It's not just that he's horrible, but he's also greedy. And they're showing the way, he's not just saying shit about the parents of Sandy Hook children because he's mean and paranoid. He's also doing it because he's getting a payday. And not just particularly, he gets a payday no matter what he says, but he gets a particular hit of cash, an infusion by doing that. And I thought, that's really interesting, because when you get to the court and you want to, talk about damages and like why someone should be liable for something, it's good to be able to say, you can point to the fact they're mean and horrible, and that really caused me pain, put a dollar value on that. When you can show, no, there's this whole business model around it, it creates a matrix for which you can say, oh, here's money, and here's how much money they made, and you can start doing damages based on that. So, like your original point, is he good? I'm just not going to say that. I'm just not going to.
It's fine. I'm not saying.
You can say it. I'm just not going to say that.
He can be shitty for you, but the bottom line is he's connecting with millions of people. And what I don't like when people say, I don't understand why this guy exists. I don't fucking understand it either, but the bottom line is he does, and us not understanding it will not make him go away.
Well, that's not what you asked me, but okay.
And that's what bothers me, is when people like wish that if we all agree that he's bad, he'll just go away. That is not going to happen. Toby, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say there is towards the end in that trial in Connecticut, I can't remember if it was the lawyer or the guy who made that nervous smile before he got up to the press conference and Alex Jones destroyed his life. But one of them says, it's one thing to see him on TV. It's another to be in the room with him and like how sort of magnetic he is. And I know that there's like this, like one of the sort of theories around why certain people have charisma, because like he's not like an attractive dude or anything like that. No. But it's the idea that you are able to channel people's anger or whatever it is in a way that people find compelling. And I'm certainly not making this comparison, but when people were trying to figure out like how Hitler was successful in sort of rallying Germans with, his freaking awful ideas, it was that same thing. He was able to sort of channel the anger. And I think with Alex Jones, it's like a similar thing. Like you see him on TV and he's like getting all red in the face and throwing papers and going off. And I think being sort of like highly emotional in a way that connects with your audience's sort of preconditioned sort of emotional states.
Yeah, their amygdalas or whatever. And I think that it what bothers me, and you hear this a lot with like people who criticize people who are, big fans of the former president, right? People will say things like, and I hear this all the time, people will say things like, what are these people thinking? And they call them, quote, these people or those people or whatever. And I'm like, these are not those people. These are just people. Something is resonating here. And if you continue to other them, and you continue to decide that they're just stupid or they're just this or they're just that, it's not going to make it go away to other, 48% of the country. It's just not going to happen. And it's like, so there's something about that. It's like you're not trying to understand why it's working. You're just othering it and dismissing it.
But that's nothing that's even approached in the documentary, right?
Exactly.
They don't have any interest at all in Alex Jones's followers.
No.
Well, there was the woman who wanted the bodies to be exhumed, or it didn't happen. And she was like, I watch a lot of true crime. They exhume bodies all the time. And then there was that guy, Wolfgang, who was saying nobody died because he didn't see any trauma helicopters. And Wolfgang was then like emboldened and given a platform by Alex Jones. So I feel like, to me, those were sort of his followers that really sort of just reached the next level because he gave them a platform to feel like what they thought was happening was actually happening when it wasn't.
And there was someone else who said something along the lines of like, you could never give them the right evidence, because if you give them evidence that like this happened, they'll just say, no, that's not the actual thing. There'd be absolutely no pleasing these people. Unlike those people that we please with Patreon.
Oh yeah, just like that.
Yeah, they're always pleased when they go to patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia. They get all sorts
would
of.
love it.
Wolfgang would love our Patreon.
Yes, he'd love it.
Oh my God, Wolfgang! Now I have to go search to see if
I can't
Wolfgang.
wait for you to talk about Wolfgang after this break.
We have great podcasts like the Crime Writers on After Show, where we talk about stuff that we didn't get to talk to in the show. Like about all those powder supplements that I'm going to be selling.
Yes.
Aren't they supposed to turn frogs gay, Toby? Something like that. Isn't that an Alex Jones thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Gay frogs all over the place.
It's just...
You know what he hasn't figured out? This is something I figured out, and I'm going a little bit of a tangent here.
Yeah.
Every supplement you take, every medication you take now comes in gummy form. Tums come in gummies. Pepto comes in gummies. Calcium comes in gummies. Vitamin D comes in gummies.
Marijuana comes in gummies.
I have thrown away all of my medicine cabinet, replaced it all with gummies because gummies are so much easier to take than all those huge fucking pills. Anyway, go ahead, Kevin.
So on Patreon, got great podcasts. We got Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast. We also have Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club. Next book that Toby's going to be talking about is Among the Bros, which it does sound like an Alex Jones kind of book, but it's not. We also have Married with Podcast in which Rebecca and I, a married couple, dish out advice about relationships. In the latest episode, one of our listeners is in a relationship with an asexual partner, and it's been cool for a while. But now they want to think about how much intimacy that they would like to have. So I don't know. Am I saying that right, Rebecca? Sorta.
Yeah.
They want to get it in.
Wait, I just unplugged my own headphones.
Oh. See, now that's what they want to do. They want to stick the thing in the little hole. Yeah, there you go.
It was just like that.
Exactly.
That's right. We handled the question just that sensitively on Married with Podcast.
Absolutely.
Just that sensitively, yes.
We have an Amazon storefront where you can see some of our favorite things. Rebecca, what are this week's Amazon recommendations?
My Amazon recommendation is the Helly Hansen rain jacket. Isn't it cute?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does it always come in yellow like that?
No, but the yellow is the one I like.
Yeah, I like that too. And Toby, what are your listener-inspired deep cut recommendations?
Well, we're going to lead off with Aqua Bliss High Output Revitalizing Shower Filter. Reduces dry, itchy skin, dandruff, eczema, and dramatically improves the condition of your skin hay.
Your skin hay?
Your skin hay?
Yep.
All right.
Maybe hair, your skin hair? I don't know.
Your skin hair.
I don't know what that's all about. Second up, we've got the Glocusant LED Neck Reading Light Book Light for reading in bed. 3 colors, 6 brightness levels, bendable arms, rechargeable, long-lasting, perfect for.
Perfect for, yes. For
Perfect
reading in bed.
For what? Oh, I got it.
Just whatever.
Perfect for.
Who doesn't like a good neck lamp? So you can shop us first at amazon.com/shop/CrimeWritersOn. We earn commissions on qualified purchases.
That means you can buy other stuff there too, right? Not just what we recommend.
That's what I said.
I love that. All right, Kevin, before we end the business section, do we have any Patreon patron saints of the week this week?
Our Patreon patron saints are Tuesday Gola and Jamie Wellman. Bless you.
Bless you, Tuesday. Bless you, Jamie. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Thank you for everybody who supports us there. Thank you for everybody who maybe used to and doesn't anymore. We love you anyway. And thank you especially to those who are considering it and that I'm convincing right now to try it out. Join us on Patreon. I promise you're going to like it back there. All right, Kevin, should I fade the music out now so we can get back to the show?
Fade it out.
All right, I'm going to get that done. So, Kevin, you thought this show could have benefited from better quality sound design?
Yeah, better quality is always better, and that's why I like to shop at Quince.
Ooh, Quince!
Imagine upgrading your wardrobe with luxury essentials at unbeatable prices. Quince is here to transform the way you shop with a range of high-quality items priced within reach. So all Quince items are priced about 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and they partner directly with top factories. So you know what they do? They cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to us.
Why are you talking about this and not me? This is literally one of my favorite places to shop. Okay. I love Quince.
You know who else loves it? It's Laura Bricker. Laura, tell us about the last thing that you got from Quince.
I got my most favorite new prized possession from Quince. I got this really nice black motorcycle jacket, and I am looking forward to wearing it on my little pink scooter as I drive around Exeter this spring. So far, I've just been wearing it around town, getting many compliments, and it really is buttery soft, real leather. It is fantastic.
Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/crime for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
Wow.
That's QUINCE.com/crime to get free shipping and 365-day returns. So if it leap year,
that's right.
You're out of luck.
That's right. It's clothes that begin with the letter Q, Alex.
Quince.com/crime.
Crime.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Visit Angie.com. You can do this when you Angie that.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. In fact, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/podcast free. All lowercase, shopify.com/podcast free, shopify.com/podcast free.
So, Kevin, before the break, we were talking about Wolfgang.
Oh, he hammered it. He was, he said, fake actor, screen. Oh, yeah, he was vicious attack, He said nobody died at Sandy Hook. See, I never said that.
You're really sure, though, nobody died? It was a total cutout.
I'm telling you, nobody died.
What a piece of work this asshole is,
Why?
right? Well, to this day, he's still trying to prove it was a hoax. Or not even trying to prove it, he just believes it. And he's still, pointing to photographs of, these children who would now be, teenagers or,
19 or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, oh, no, I'm sure they're living in Switzerland someplace. They're living in hiding. And it's funny because at the end, he kind of says something like, oh, well, I would regret it if I were proven wrong. I'd feel very badly if I were proven wrong. But he'll never admit to being wrong.
Yeah.
Because you could do the thing where you could exhume a body and show it to him and he'd say that's not the same kid. There's just no way of satisfying him. And then he goes off on his own and just harasses not only the parents, but the school department and the fire department, anybody that had something to do with this tragedy, that they're lying. It's just horrible. And it's if that's the world you want to live in, fine, live in that world. But, you've taken it a step too far when you decide you're just going to ruin the lives of these other grieving people and just rub salt in their wounds.
So, Kevin, I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
I am just going to say my opinion, and you can tell me if you agree or not. I don't think this documentary would have worked nearly so well had we not gotten such an effective telling and TikTok of the Sandy Hook shootings themselves. I mean, I thought that was well done, and I think that it was necessary in order for the rest of the documentary to work so well. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think to say it like this is honest to say that this story is not really about Sandy Hook in the strictest sense. It's about everything that came after, but obviously you have to set that up. We knew that was coming. They would have to tell that part of the story. But what was great about it was that the way in which they did it was very moving. And so it handled the parent stories in a way that built up sympathy, maybe got me more emotional than I thought I was going to be. And so you took on their pain too, which is good storytelling, which is good documentary work. But what that ends up doing is by the time you get to all these denials and the harassment, it not only hurts those people, it hurts the viewers too. You take and feel that on a visceral level after you've just been nearly moved to tears listening to someone talk about how on the last day of their son's life, they snuggled on the couch and he took photos, and that he doesn't, get that back, the pain that they went through. And then to have somebody tell them that he needs to exhume the body just to prove to this person that he's still alive, that really hurts. So where they could have just kind of perfunctory gone through and just sort of clicked the boxes and just run down a timeline and just ran a bunch of names, they could have left it that and it still would have been probably still very effective, but that was elevated.
Yeah, the horror of it was well represented without being graphic.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I thought was super effective was when the police investigator who wrote the report described how it was happened. And he didn't mention the shooter's name, but he went through this very detailed recounting of how it happened, what happened in each room, how everything played out in such a way that when you were finished and he said all of the names, even though he was just saying names, it had such an impact.
And he also kills Daniel Barden, Charlotte Bacon, Josephine Gay, Madeline Sue, Catherine Hubbard, Chase Kowalski, James Mattioli, Anna Marquise Green, Grace McDonald, Jack Pinto, Noah Posner, Caroline Previty, Emily Parker, Jessica Ricos, and Benjamin Wheeler.
Yeah, I flagged that too, that he just knew all the names one after another. That, he had, obviously, if that was your assignment, that's going to be burned into your mind for the rest of your life. But to be able to sort of demonstrate that each one of those individuals meant something to him and should be honored and remembered by, you didn't have to look at a piece of paper to remember everybody's name.
So let's move on to the trial itself, because that is where the action happens in the documentary. And now we see most of the action. Obviously, there were 2 court cases that we focus on, but most of the documentary focuses on the Texas court case. And then later we have the Connecticut one. But the Texas court case, a lot of stuff happens. One of the things that happens is we see Alex Jones in court, and then we see him immediately before and after court on his show, and then we see him being forced to watch what he just said on his show about the judge in court, like that day or the following day. We see the judge reacting to that. We also have a couple of very interesting moments, like, for instance, Toby, when the lawyer for the parents reveals that he has the entire text message dump from Alex Jones's phone, which Alex Jones realizes in real time that he has now lied about not having existed, but that actually exists, and he sent to the opposing counsel by mistake.
I told you the truth. This is your Perry Mason moment. I gave them my phone, and then...
Mr. Jones, you need to answer the question.
No,
Did you know this happened?
I didn't know this happened. But, I told you I gave them the phone over. Just
answer the question.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that or reading about that in the papers when that happened. And it's pretty funny. And it's also funny to see him, like, his thing is like, well, yeah, see, I did turn him over. It's like, yeah, that's not exactly what happened, pal. To me, there was like 3 big moments that they showed. One was that where he gets busted with the text. The second one is where he like breaks into like an infomercial about his supplements and about how he sources like the supplement ingredients from Japan and it's like the best stuff. Or he just does this infomercial. And I think during that they showed like the people in the jury and they're looking at him like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is going on?
Do you sell vitamins? Yes. We have them made by the top lab recognized in the United States. All we do is put our label on it so we know it's triple tested, the highest quality, and that's why people love it because it is the best out there.
And then Jesse's mom and dad both testify, but the mom comes up. She's just so composed and just sort of this appeal to like human decency I thought was just very striking. And I mean, Alex Jones doesn't have anything to say to that, right?
He apologizes to them in open court after he walks up to the parents and says, you know, I always believed you. I'm so sorry. And then he immediately goes back on television and calls them liars again. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, it shows how like BS that was, that as soon as he realized that shit doesn't work, he goes to Connecticut and he's just a flaming dick to everybody. I've got sort of mixed feelings about this documentary. And in some ways, it just, the lines are so clear and it seems like it's so black and white that I don't really feel like it's appropriate to try and find shades of gray in this situation because I don't really think there are too many. You know, it's just black and white. And it's a situation that was black and white. And maybe it's just the choice of the subject. It's hard to think of something to be worse than having your 6-year-old child murdered and to have somebody make it their profitable business to call into question whether it actually happened. It's just so outside the pale.
Well, probably the missing piece for me would be his divorce case, which it's not a gray area, but it did reveal some of the psychology there that came out. And I would recommend that people look it up because there are basically filings where it was like, I'm playing a character. Like, this isn't who I am. And it's just a very revelatory.
Or is that the character at that
Exactly.
moment?
And it's a very, it just adds a whole other layer of like infuriating stuff to it because it's like, if you are actually conscious of this enough to do this or not, it's just like another like whole layer of public documentation in an effort to keep his money that he then adds another layer of it too. Laura, I just have a question for you. What did you think of the judge in the Texas case? Because she wasn't really suffering fools in that case.
Yeah, I loved that judge. I think it was, for me, very satisfying to see somebody in a position like hers who is totally done with Alex Jones, totally done with his lies, and has no qualms about calling him out for his bullshit of not turning over Discovery, telling blatant lies on the stand when he's saying he's bankrupt and saying he complied with the request for Discovery. So I think her face for me was very satisfying because I think she was able to say things from a position that I don't think he gives a shit what she says, but I appreciated it because I just was so sick of listening to him.
It seems absurd to instruct you again that you must tell the truth while you testify, yet here I am. You must tell the truth while you testify. This is not your show. Do you understand what I have said? Yes or no? Do you understand what I have said?
Yes, I believe what I said was true.
Yes, you believe everything you say is true, but it isn't.
Speaking of faces, who wanted to slap Jones's lawyer's
Why is
face?
that? Why?
He had a slappable face.
Why is that?
His face was slappable. His face was begging for a slap.
Yeah. Is that why they got the Perry Mason moment? Because his lawyer was so slappable?
This is also sloppy. Sloppy and slappable.
Were you surprised by how many cameras there were in the courtroom in Texas?
That Texas thing, actually, yeah. Did you know, you're talking about the faces of the jury. Have you ever seen an actual jury? Because usually when they set up the cameras, it's like, do not show the jury. It's always from a different angle. So they're shooting towards the jury box. This
civil trial, though.
But regardless, that's not something you see. You also got to see the makeup of the jury, which was pretty evenly mixed, I think, gender-wise, but also pretty diverse ethnically, it seemed. And it looked like also that the cameras weren't like these lockdown ones. They were able to go on the shoulder because that's how we got those different angles of the cough drop incident.
Oh, my God.
Because they were able to move the cameras in to get around this little huddle that was happening. And you couldn't do that if you were locked down on sticks or something in the back of the room. There just seemed to be an awful lot of technical access within that courtroom, which ended up making for visually, a much more interesting visual representation of the trial, as opposed to a lot of these fluorescent lit, standard shot, pulled from the TV feed kind of things that we get from courthouse. Just think of how it looked when they represented what happened in Connecticut versus what happened in Texas. Just visually, dynamically, the whole thing was much different. Would you give Alex Jones a cough drop, Kevin? Yeah, one that I, had on the floor. Toby's right. The woman was just so full of humanity, and she's looking at him, and I'm like, she wanted to get that moment, right, where either he gives the apology or she stares him down or something like that. And I'm just thinking, he's just a small, small man. He's a small, feeble person is what he is. It's like you deserve your moment to spit in his eye, but he's not worth it.
I thought that was the one surprising moment in the entire documentary. Everybody kind of performed to a part, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there's this one curveball where she's like, let me give you a cough drop and a glass of water. And then all this stuff kind of happens. And in some ways, that's the critical scene in the entire thing because it shows basically how much of just a performance it is for him. Whereas everything else is he's bad. I feel bad for these people. Yep. They got a whole bunch of money. That's awesome. Which they're never going to get, right? Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't have any money. Well, even if he does, he's going to shelter in such a way that he'll never get it. Right. That's what's going to happen. I'm being facetious. Yeah. Of course, he's got tons of money. Yeah. And it's Kevin, you can call him a small and feeble man all you want, but he's not, and he'll be fine. That's just true. Yeah. That's also, just true. It's also the verdict, the financial verdicts were both too much and too little at the same time. $30 million, whatever. That's not going to be enough to recognize your pain from being defamed in that manner over and over and over again in such a horrible way. That's not going to be enough. But when it gets to be $1 billion, it may as well be $1 gazillion because that's not going to be what the final settlement is. And I believe, Rebecca, what they're trying to negotiate, I think they said that in the card at the end, right? That they're trying to figure out some kind of plea, not a plea, but a settlement agreement it won't be $1.5 billion, but it should be enough that it damages his business.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Visit Angie.com. You can do this when you Angie that.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. In fact, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/podcast free. All lowercase, shopify.com/podcast free, shopify.com/podcast free.
Okay, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out The Truth versus Alex Jones? It's an HBO original documentary. Laura Bricker, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down for The Truth versus Alex Jones?
I feel bad even giving this any sort of a rating because I just hate this guy so much. I'm going to go thumbs sideways because honestly, I don't need to hear any more about Alex Jones. I hate him. And this was hard to watch in that respect. And I feel like what's terrifying to me is that despite this going to court, despite the outcome, despite the exposure, his brand of misinformation is going to be here to stay. And I feel like we're only going to be seeing more of this going forward in other avenues in our country leading up to the next election. But I feel like he was kind of like one of the catalysts for starting that sort of trend that we see a lot of. So I'm going thumb sideways. If you really feel like you want to relive and get fired up about Alex Jones, you can watch it. Otherwise, there's no need to.
Toby Ball, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down for The Truth versus Alex Jones?
Yeah, this is kind of a weird one in that, the sides are so clearly drawn. You've got the parents of first graders who are murdered, and then you've got a guy who says that they're lying. And so it's really a pretty black and white situation. And so you're just kind of watching this. It's almost like a morality play or something. Is it interesting? I guess. But there's just not much nuance going on. I guess I'm kind of a mild thumbs up because it's not bad, but I just think the subject matter, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And at the end, I don't think it's giving away anything to say that he gets these huge judgments against him. And I guess there's a certain feeling of just desserts or whatever. It's sort of at this sort of cartoon morality level, just because that's what you're actually dealing with, is this cartoonish guy who's just being absolutely awful to these people who've suffered this incredible tragedy. So a mild thumbs up. If you're not familiar with the story, maybe it's worth watching, but it's a tough watch. It's tough to watch people who have had the worst thing you can imagine happen to them, and that's just the beginning of something that's caused by people who are essentially making these people's lives miserable for money.
Kevin Flynn.
I'm thumbs up. I appreciate what you guys said. There is something to that there's no shades of gray in this. You have somebody who's just doing something completely horrible, and it's just, are you going to be able to get him to stop? Can you give him a financial punch in the nose that's strong enough to make him stop? I think some of the more interesting parts about it have to do with people that have sort of been radicalized and that are, these side actors that are tormenting the people there. And, we do get into some discussion about that whole subculture. This is what happens when you have the loss of a monoculture. We can't agree on what the truth is. And basically, it's destabilized social order. And so somebody like Alex Jones is going to thrive in this kind of environment because there's nothing in place to challenge him. And even if you do like the thing that is the absolute worst, the worst possible thing you think you could do as a broadcaster, you can still negotiate your way out of it if you sell enough fucking vitamins. Now, it's called The Truth versus Alex Jones, but it's always been Alex Jones versus The Truth. I still found it interesting, and I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm giving it a thumbs up too. I think it's a very good portrait of the parents who I think too often in the coverage of this are just called the Sandy Hook parents. Mm-hmm. And we don't really get enough of a sense of their full humanity other than what we see of them on Twitter. I mean, there is a brand around the Sandy Hook parents. They have an entire PR campaign and an entire activist campaign where they sort of tweet as a brand, and there's like some messaging that they all do in concert. That's sort of, there's a whole foundation around it and stuff. We don't get to see them in moments like we see them in this documentary, and I really appreciated those moments. I also do think that the documentary, in the moments where it focuses on how compelling Alex Jones is where I think it's important, because I do think that the one documentary I would love to see, and this doesn't quite do it, but I do think it's important, is something about how culturally important somebody like Alex Jones is. The reason why he has become so powerful is because so many people so easily say, he's unimportant, he's fringe, I can't believe people listen to him, he's crazy, and we just write him off. Meanwhile, we're writing him off, and your uncle's listening to him, your neighbor's listening to him, the guy who's, sitting next to you at work is listening to him. You cannot write people off who are this fucking good at what they do. And I really, really think that people like this need to be examined more closely. You need to shine a light on them. We can't look away from them. Looking away from them is how they got powerful to begin with. So yeah, I think this was an interesting documentary. I'm giving it a thumbs up. And I really, really think we need more coverage of people like Alex Jones, not less. So yeah, thumbs up for me for The Truth versus Alex Jones. All right, that's going to do it for us. But before we go, Laura Bricker, I have to ask you, do we have a cat of the week this week?
We do. Shirley Laro sent the most amazing picture to me on Twitter of her new cat. She gave up her sweet ginger Leo. She was really sad about that. She was contacted to adopt Casanova.
Nice.
She didn't think 2 times. She assumed, whatever, I'll take this cat. And now she comes out this morning in the bathroom. Here is Casanova sitting on the toilet. Apparently, the street cat was toilet trained.
Nice.
And there is legit a picture of this orange cat on the toilet. I am so jealous. I wish my cat to use the toilet. Having 3 cats and 4 litter boxes sucks. Shirley, send me some tips. Let me know what you know about Casanova's toilets.
Hot damn, Shirley. Dr. Shirley Laro, good on you. Laura Bricker, if you want folks to reach out to you with their other pets that have incredible tricks, how can they find you on social media?
They can find me at Laura Bricker on Twitter and Instagram.
And Toy Ball, if you want folks to reach out to you and assure you that you are not as dynamic and magnetic as Alex Jones, how can they find you on social media?
At TobyBallNH.
Kevin Flynn, what about you? If you want people to assure you that you're not as good as Alex Jones at broadcasting, how can they find you on social media?
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn on Truth Social.
And if you want to follow me everywhere and assure me that I'm also not as good as Alex Jones as a broadcaster, you can find me everywhere at Reb Lavoie. You can follow the show everywhere at Crime Writers On, but I mostly encourage you to join our incredible community in our official, very supportive, very engaging, very non-assholic Crime Writers On Facebook discussion group. We have a regular Facebook page. Just go there. There's a pinned post about how to join the group. Get episodes early and ad-free at patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media. There you'll get all the great stuff we make. You'll get episodes early and ad-free and all that stuff. Our theme song was composed and performed by Ty Gibbons. Our line editor is the wonderful Livy Burdett. The executive producer of this program is Wolfgang, a.k.a. Kevin Flynn.
What?
This show was recorded in the Treehouse Yoga Studio above the Mockingbird Cafe in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi studio, otherwise known as Studio C, The Closet, in our New Hampshire basement, where we also have the best human growth hormone powder that the law will allow. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you
later.
Remember when people were just like getting like baby powder in the mail and stuff? It was like all these like hoaxes.
It's still happening.
Do you remember when Ali G, I think, asked, was it Richard Thornburg or somebody like that? He said, did you ever find who was sending Tampax through the mail? And the guy's like, I think you mean anthrax. Anyway, it's funnier when Ali G does it.
Yes.
Partners in Crime Media.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Visit Angie.com. You can do this when you Angie that.